I go to the gym every day and pay my dues, so I never have to wonder what if later in life. I never want to say to myself, oh, I could have done something more, or I could have done another rep there, another set there, spent another day in the gym there.
On January 17th, 2015, the scene looked like something straight out of a high-budget action film. The sun hung low over the tracks, casting long shadows across the steel rails. A camera crew stood ready, lenses focused, capturing what was supposed to be another powerful, cinematic moment. At the center of it all stood Greg Plitt, a man whose entire life had been built on discipline, peak performance, and pushing limits. He had done difficult things before. He had endured military training, built a physique admired around the world, and carved out a name in one of the most competitive industries imaginable. But this moment was different. This moment involved timing, risk, and a calculation that would prove fatally wrong.
I had the greatest job in the world. It's a job where I get to put out what I do, what I love to do.
The idea was simple: outrun a train for a dramatic commercial shot. It sounded intense, bold, and visually unforgettable. But within seconds, it turned into something irreversible. Witnesses would later say he misjudged the speed. He thought he had more time. He didn't. The train struck him instantly. Just like that, one of the most recognizable faces in fitness was gone at 37, killed not by illness, not by age, but by a preventable accident while filming content. But it wasn't always like this. Long before the cameras, the magazine covers, and the massive following, Greg Plitt's story began with discipline of a different kind. He wasn't born into fame or handed an easy path. He built himself from the ground up, starting with his time in the United States military. As an Army Ranger, he was trained in one of the most demanding environments imaginable. The Ranger Regiment is not for the average individual. It demands mental resilience, physical toughness, and an ability to operate under extreme pressure. That experience shaped him. It taught him structure, consistency, and the mindset of pushing beyond limits. These weren't just traits he used in the military. They became the foundation of everything he would later build in the fitness world. When he transitioned out of military service, Greg didn't simply drift into a career. He attacked it with the same intensity. Fitness became his new battlefield. At a time when social media hadn't yet exploded into what it is today, Greg Plitt was already becoming a dominant figure in fitness modeling.
Biggest muscle on the tricep. Anytime you're going overhead, that's what's going to hit there, right?
At the time, it likely felt like just another step forward, another chance to create something impactful, something visually powerful, something that would reinforce his image as someone who pushed limits. But somewhere along the way, the line between calculated risk and unnecessary danger blurred. The idea of outrunning a train wasn't just dramatic. It was dangerous, extremely dangerous. Trains move faster than they appear, and their speed is often underestimated. They also cannot stop quickly. Once they're in motion, they are committed to their path. This isn't a stunt you can simply time perfectly without serious risk. Yet, in the pursuit of creating compelling content, that risk was taken. What makes this story even more unsettling is how preventable it was. This wasn't an unpredictable accident caused by equipment failure or an unavoidable natural event. It was a decision, a choice to attempt something inherently dangerous for the sake of a shot. In the aftermath, questions began to surface. Who approved the concept? Were proper safety measures in place? Could this have been avoided with better planning or stricter oversight? These questions didn't just stay within the production. They spread across the industry. Greg Plitt's death became a turning point in conversations about influencer and production safety. At a time when content creation was becoming increasingly competitive, his story served as a stark reminder of the risks involved when boundaries are pushed too far. The pressure to create something bigger, more intense, more attention-grabbing, can sometimes lead to decisions that prioritize impact over safety. His death forced people to reconsider where that line should be drawn. For the fitness industry, the loss was significant. Greg wasn't just another influencer. He was a symbol of what dedication could achieve. His image, his voice, and his message had reached millions. But in the end, his death highlighted something deeper. Even the strongest, most disciplined individuals are not immune to miscalculation. Physical fitness does not protect against poor decisions. Strength does not replace caution. The aftermath of his death saw an outpouring of tributes from fans, athletes, and industry professionals.
That you put yourself in the way of, saying, I can't get through, I can't get through, I can't get.
Many spoke about how he had inspired them to change their lives, to take control of their health, and to push themselves beyond their limits. But alongside the tributes came reflection. Conversations shifted toward responsibility, both personal and professional. Production teams began taking a closer look at safety protocols. Content creators started thinking more carefully about the risks they were willing to take for views, engagement, or brand deals. Greg Plitt's legacy is complicated. On one hand, he remains one of the most influential figures in fitness history, a man who motivated millions and redefined what it meant to live with discipline and intensity. On the other hand, his death stands as a cautionary tale. It's a reminder that ambition, when unchecked, can lead to dangerous decisions, that the pursuit of greatness should never come at the cost of basic safety. In the end, the image is impossible to ignore. A man who represented peak human performance, standing on train tracks, believing he had enough time. It's a moment that captures both the power and the danger of pushing limits. Because sometimes, the greatest threat isn't weakness. It's the belief that you're strong enough to take risks that shouldn't be taken at all. And that's what makes this story so impactful. Not just because of who Greg Plitt was, but because of what his final moments represent. A world where content is king, where attention is currency, and where the line between bold and reckless can disappear in an instant. In the years following his death, the story of Greg Plitt continued to echo far beyond the fitness industry. Yet, his death revealed a contradiction that many people struggle to confront. Even the most controlled lives can unravel in a single, uncontrolled moment. That contrast is what keeps his story relevant, especially in today's era of content creation, where the stakes are often invisible until it's too late. The incident also forced a deeper look into the psychology of risk-taking, particularly among high performers. People like Greg are wired differently. They thrive on pushing boundaries, on doing what others hesitate to attempt. That's the harsh reality at the center of this story. Some risks cannot be mastered, no matter how capable the person taking them is. As content creation has evolved, this lesson has only become more relevant. Today, the pressure to stand out is even greater than it was in 2015. Platforms reward extremes. Bigger stunts, higher risks, more shocking visuals. The algorithm doesn't measure caution, it measures engagement. And in that environment, creators can find themselves slowly escalating the intensity of their content without fully recognizing how far they've gone. What starts as harmless experimentation can gradually turn into dangerous territory. Greg's story, in many ways, foreshadowed this shift. It highlighted the moment where ambition and safety collide, and what happens when safety loses. There's also an important conversation about responsibility that comes out of this. In situations like these, it's rarely just one person making a decision. There are production teams, directors, brand representatives, and crew members involved. Each person plays a role in either questioning or enabling the risk. In hindsight, it's easy to ask why no one stepped in, why the idea wasn't reconsidered, why stricter safety measures weren't enforced. But in the moment, when everyone is focused on achieving a shared goal, those questions can get lost. That's why Greg Plitt's death became more than just a personal tragedy. It became a case study in collective responsibility. For brands, it raised difficult questions about the kind of content they were willing to endorse. For production teams, it emphasized the importance of having non-negotiable safety standards, regardless of creative ambition. He showed that transformation isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional as well. For many, he was the push they needed to change direction, to commit to something better. That's the duality of his legacy. On one side, there's the inspiration, the discipline, the drive, the relentless pursuit of improvement. On the other side, there's the caution, the reminder that even the strongest individuals are vulnerable to a single misstep. It's not a contradiction, it's a complete picture. And understanding both sides is what makes his story meaningful. There's also something deeply human about the way people continue to reflect on his final moments. It's not just about what happened, it's about what could have been different. What if he had stepped off the tracks a second earlier? What if someone had called off the shot? What if the idea had been replaced with something safer? No amount of preparation can eliminate risk entirely, but awareness and caution can reduce it. And sometimes, that's the difference between life and death. In a broader sense, Greg Plitt's story challenges the way we define strength. It's easy to associate strength with pushing limits, with taking risks, with proving that you can do what others can't. But true strength also involves knowing when not to push further. It involves recognizing boundaries, not as limitations, but as protections. That's a lesson that doesn't get as much attention, but it's just as important. As the world continues to evolve, and as content creation becomes an even bigger part of everyday life, stories like this will remain relevant. They serve as reminders that behind every viral moment is a real person, with real consequences tied to their decisions. The audience may see a few seconds of footage, but the risks behind those seconds are often much greater than they appear. In the end, the story of Greg Plitt isn't just about how he died. It's about what his life and death teach us. It's about ambition, discipline, and the drive to be extraordinary. But it's also about awareness, responsibility, and the importance of valuing life over spectacle. Because no matter how powerful the image, no matter how impactful the content, nothing is worth more than the person creating it. And maybe that's the final takeaway. Not a warning meant to discourage ambition, but a reminder to balance it. To push limits, but not ignore them. To strive for greatness, but not at the cost of safety. Because the line between a powerful moment and a tragic one is often thinner than we think. And once it's crossed, there's no going back.